Hi, Luis. This is Alan Cockrell with ABC, hitting coordinator for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm going to take a look at your video today and just go through some of the things that I talk to my hitters about. We're going through pretty much at regular speed right now. And one of the things that I see into the load is, and it's going to cause a little bit of issue as we start to go forward in the swing, especially as you get a little bit older and you start to face some guys with a little bit better command of their fastball, both sides of the plate, off-speed pitches for strikes. It'll come into play a little bit more. And so I'm just going to stop it right here. And what I see at this point is, in this load, we want to load into the back leg. We don't want to load on top of that back leg. And here's the thing. When that knee gets stacked over that back foot, we have this feeling as a hitter that in order to get to the baseball, we've got to get off our back side and into our front side so that we can get good weight transfer and good extension with the barrel through the ball. Generally what happens when we get on top of this back leg, really two things can happen. Hitters will either spin on that back leg, they don't get any weight transfer whatsoever, or they have a tendency to push up and to push forward. And as I watch your swing, your tendency was to kind of push forward, and then we lost our front hip a little bit. So, and I'll run it forward and I'll show you that. But when we load, just remember, load into that back leg, and when you do, this back knee will stay inside that foot, and all that weight will be gathered up to the inside part of this leg. So really, we're not loading back, we're loading into our back leg, okay? So as we go forward now, I'll get rid of these lines. We'll go forward to the toe touch position, okay? We see when that toe touches right here. Now, as we start to get to the heel plant position, your tendency is to push forward. So when you start to push, this front hip will slide forward and it will start to open. At this particular point, we want to see equal bend in both knees. We want to see these knees are inside front feet. We want to see that the shoulders are square. We want to see the hands are shoulder height. We have good separation with our hands behind our back knee. Your head's over your belt buckle. It's in a good attacking position. But the thing that I see is this hip line is starting to open up. And it's because we got on top of that back leg and we started to push forward, and when we did, this hip started to leak open just a little bit quickly. Okay, so that's going to make it difficult to handle pitches middle away, pitches outer third, any type of off-speed pitch, change of speed pitch, a breaking ball, a changeup that's really middle to middle away. It'd be very, very difficult to stay on those balls and hit through those balls like you can, because you have good balance, you have tremendous hand-eye coordination. But as we start to go forward, we're just going to see this front hip start to open up a little prematurely, and as it does, when the hands come through the ball, we have a tendency to pull our hands across our body. Okay, here we are at contact. Now as we start to go forward, your hands are going to pull across your body as opposed to extending forward, getting this barrel to full extension, and then having a nice full release or finish in our swing. So we'll take it forward and just watch the hands pull across your body. And that's basically because that hip, that front hip, it slid forward to get off your backside. And as you were getting off your backside, it had to open. It had to create a path and a lane for your hands to be able to work forward into the swing. So what I'd like to see you do when you load is let's don't load on that back leg. Let's load into that back leg, okay? So when we go back and then we start our swing, we can get into that back leg. So at this position right here, this hip's going to be underneath you, okay? It's going to be more there. This foot will be more out here. Now you're going to have good equal bend in both knees. That foot will be, the leg will be more in this position. There'll be a little bit of bend in it. So we'll keep that knee inside, and this front hip will be underneath you, and now we can see your hip line is more square. Okay, now from here, from this position, you can start to take that weight that's transferred in here, drive this back knee, Drive it to the inside part of this leg, and when it does, the elbow is going to slide underneath your hands. And actually, your elbow does a good job of working underneath. You get to a good connected position right here where your hands, your elbow, and your back hip are all in alignment. But this front hip sliding forward and opening is bringing your hands around your body. Okay, so if we were in a position where they were more underneath us, we would be able to freely go to this ball in, the ball middle, and the ball away with the exact same amount of bat speed and barrel release through the ball. As it is right now, staying on this ball middle and staying on this ball away is going to be difficult to stay through just because of that front hip. Starting your swing to work around your body instead of now let the hand work in front, and then you can release the barrel to any one of these three locations. Okay, so really just the best way to work on something like this is just probably a tee. Most of the really good hitters that I've had the pleasure of working with have always in a cage setting in their work before they go out on the field to take BP. They'll set the tee in various locations because they can work on the exact location that they want. And really all we're trying to do is just get our body in a particular position so that our hands and our backside can freely work through this ball with good extension. So my suggestion is we're going to get you to the loaded position, and we're going to make sure that when your foot lands, this hip's not leaking out, not sliding forward and leaking open. We're going to set this tee on the outside part of the plate. We'll set it even if they're just inside of our strike foot. Okay. Now from here, take all that weight that you have gathered up inside, transfer it, drive this back knee, transfer that weight into there. Let your hands or let your elbow slide under your hands, get to that connection point to where the hands, the elbow, and the back hip are right here. Now you're going to be able to go to the ball away with very, very good extension and stay through this ball. This is a drill that you're doing in a cage setting. We'll drive this ball through the right side of the cage. We're going to stay off the top of the net, which means that the hands are dragging, the barrel's dropping, and if we happen to come across this ball and hit ground balls to the left side of the cage, then that means that hip is sliding forward and starting to open up too early. This should be the feeling of being able to take your hands and your barrel and throwing that barrel, and if you were to let go of it, it would fly through the right side of the cage. That's the type of extension that we need to be able to stay through this ball out there on that outer half. Okay? And if you can keep your hip underneath you right here, you will have no problem getting through this ball, staying on this ball, and then the older you get, when you start to face pitchers with breaking balls and changeups and fastball command to the outer half of the plate, you're going to be able to stay through these balls with a lot more ease and a lot more effectiveness. So this is a drill that, Luis, I know it's going to help, and just take the time to learn how to load into that back leg and not on top of that back leg. Getting on top causes us to push forward, and then that's when we lose the front hip. All right? This is a drill that's going to help you, bud. I want to wish you luck, and thanks for coming to our camp.